A son goes onto social media and says, I've been paying 50,000 rupees every year for my mother's health insurance. When she actually needed it, the claim was denied. The post exploded, people got angry, and comments are filled with insurance is a scam and they take premiums but never pay claims. And then the insurer comes back with a statement saying the story is incomplete, material facts were omitted, and there was a potential pre-existing disease that was actually never properly supported with documentations. So what really happened here? And more importantly, how do you make sure that this doesn't happen to you? Hello folks, I'm Shashank. You're watching Ditto Insurance. At Ditto, we help you compare health and term insurance plans with honest, no spam advice from IDI certified advisors. We never force you to buy from us. We don't upsell, and we support you from application till claims. If you ever want a second opinion on your policy, then there's a link in the description to book a free call. Now back to the case. Now here's what we know from the public disclosures. A man claimed that he had been paying around 50,000 rupees annually for his mother's insurance policy. She fell ill. He approached the insurer's local office, and according to him, he was made to wait for hours. The claim was denied, and someone allegedly said something along the line of, "You didn't even consult us before buying the policy." Now that line alone triggered outrage online, because for most families, paying premium year after year creates an emotional expectation that when crisis hits, the insurer will stand by you. The insurer, however, responded formally. They said the viral version of the story was incomplete. During claim assessment, medical records suggested a potential pre-existing condition relevant to the hospitalization. They stated that supporting documents were requested, but they were not furnished despite follow-ups, and that the decision was taken strictly as per policy terms and backed by documentary evidence. So now we have two sides. On one side, a family feeling blindsided, and on the other side, an insurer saying that this was a contractual decision based on disclosure and documentation. And this brings us to the real issue: pre-existing conditions and disclosures. Look, in health insurance, non-disclosure or incomplete disclosure of a pre-existing disease can become grounds for claim rejection. It doesn't matter if the premium was paid regularly for years. It doesn't matter if the hospitalization is genuine. At the claim stage, insurers look only at proposal form disclosures, hospital records, past prescriptions, diagnostic history, and doctor notes. And if the treating doctor writes known case of diabetes for 5 years, and if that wasn't declared at policy purchase, it does become a problem. Now, here's where it gets messy. Many customers genuinely believe they disclosed everything verbally to the agent, but what legally matters is what was written in the proposal form itself. If something wasn't recorded there, the insurer will rely on documentation and not the memory. There's also the waiting period angle. Now, even if a pre-existing disease was declared, it typically comes with a waiting period, often between 2 and 3 years depending on the policy. If hospitalization happens within that waiting period for that specific condition, the claim may not be payable. Families often assume that once the policy starts, everything is covered. Now, that's not how it works. Another layer is documentation. When insurers say supporting documents were requested but not furnished, now that usually refers to past medical records. Now, for example, if a hospital record indicates prior hypertension, the insurer may ask for past consultation papers or prescription history or diagnostic reports to establish the timeline. Now, if those documents are not submitted, or let's say you genuinely forgot, the insurer may interpret it as a non-disclosure or incomplete disclosure. Now, let's step back emotionally. Does paying premium regularly guarantee claim approval? Definitely not. Premium payment only keeps the contract active. Claim approval depends on 3 things: disclosure accuracy, waiting period status, and whether the hospitalization falls within policy coverage terms. Now, that does sound harsh, but that's how health insurance contracts are structured globally. Now, at the same time, from a family's perspective, this feels unfair. I know, when someone is hospitalized, emotions are already high, and a rejection feels like a stab in the heart, and when communication is poor or insensitive, the situation escalates quite quickly. So what are the takeaways here? First, disclosure is everything. When buying a policy, declare every medical condition, even if it feels minor. That is why when you book a call with Ditto and when you decide to purchase a health insurance policy through us, we sit with you at the application time and ask you, "Sir, madam, do you know if you have any medical condition in the past? Let's say a thyroid, or a borderline sugar, or occasional asthma, fatty liver, previous surgeries that you can remember, or any regular medications that you take. Please let us know and we will disclose it to the insurer." Because we have seen some agents say, "Ye chodo, this is a small issue," and this small issue becomes big at the claim time. So always disclose everything. Second, fill the proposal form yourself or review it line by line before signing. And this is also where we help. Don't just sign wherever you're told, ask for a copy of the final submitted proposal form and keep it safely. Now that document becomes your strongest defense during claims. Third, understand waiting periods clearly. Initial waiting period, specific disease waiting period, and pre-existing disease waiting periods. Now they are all different. If a parent has diabetes and the waiting period is 3 years, hospitalization related to diabetes complications in the year 2 may not be covered. Fourth, keep medical records organized. Please keep every documentation handy. Past prescriptions, diagnostic reports, discharge summaries. Now store them digitally and physically. Now when insurers request supporting documents, delays or missing records can complicate claim decisions. So please keep them handy and do disclose them at the right time. Fifth, don't panic at the first rejection. There is a structured escalation path. You can respond to the insurer with clarification and additional documents. If unsatisfied, you can approach the grievance cell, then the insurance ombudsman. Now many disputes are resolved at review stage itself when proper documentation is provided, but you can always head to the court as well. Sixth, buy early. The earlier you buy health insurance, the fewer pre-existing complications you will have to deal with later. Waiting until your 60s to buy a policy means that most conditions already exist and waiting periods become critical and you might not even get insurance at that point. There's also bigger market anxiety here. Many policyholders fear that technical grounds like pre-existing conditions will be used to deny claims. Now, the reality is more nuanced. Insurers are regulated, audited, and operate under IDI strict guidelines. They cannot arbitrarily deny claims, but they will enforce contract terms strictly. That's the difference between emotional expectation and legal framework. And folks, one more important point, communication matters. Insurers must communicate reasons clearly. Vague rejection letters increase mistrust. Detailed explanations referencing specific causes and evidence create clarity, even if the outcome is unfavorable. At Ditto, we've seen both the sides. We've seen genuine mis-selling cases where disclosures weren't recorded properly. We've also seen cases where customers unintentionally skipped mentioning long-standing conditions. The common thread here is documentation gaps. Now, if you're unsure whether your policy disclosures are accurate, or let's say you have a policy and want to get it reviewed, then you can book a free call with the link in the description. We'll look at your policy wording and we'll help you understand what to make of it. No spam, no forceful selling, just clarity. Folks, I will see you in the next one. Until then, happy insurance hunting.